Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be doing a video about Xpeng stock. Before I start the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video below. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Join the family, guys. Let's go on our investor journey together. So today we're going to be talking about Xpeng. And if you guys don't know what Xpeng actually does, Xpeng is an EV company that's based out of China. They basically produce EV cars as well. Really, a lot of these EV companies have been getting a lot of heat. Looking at the 5-year chart, this thing did IPO recently, August 26, 2020, currently up 92%. Looking at the 3-month chart, currently up 127.43%. And, I've said this as well, that Xpeng has been getting a lot of heat along with a lot of other EV stocks. Xpeng is an EV company based out of China, has two really main competitors, which is NIO and Li Auto. All of these EV companies are based out of China. Now, Xpeng in itself, in my opinion, is probably one of the stocks that people should actually be paying attention to the most, because I do think that Xpeng stock does have a lot of upward potential going into 2021. We did get some really good news about Xpeng recently, and one, Xpeng signed a contract with a radar company. And why is that super important? As you guys know, as the EV market has started to evolve, people are really working very, very hard, and these EV companies are working very, very hard to really perfect the self-autonomous driving technology, basically the company that can create the best autopilot self-driving system. Xpeng signing a contract with a manufacturer that basically specializes in it goes to show that Xpeng is trying its very hardest to really be the first company to really work and really develop and really perfect the self-autonomous driving technology. It is a big deal, and it's definitely a huge catalyst in the EV game. But I do think Xpeng stock is a good buy at $44.54. Obviously, everything I say in my videos is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion. But the reason I say this is because Xpeng stock, on top of just signing a deal with a company that basically perfects itself using radars, and Xpeng really trying to perfect the self-autonomous driving technology, is the fact that Xpeng was the first Chinese EV company to make the step into starting to sell cars in a place outside of China. As you guys know, Xpeng has started selling cars in Norway, which is basically a huge catalyst. It shows that Xpeng as a company is starting to grow outside of its reach, and it shows that, the Chinese EV game is really starting to heat up. If I were to give Xpeng one piece of advice, if that's just my personal opinion, is Xpeng needs to really focus on just delivering more vehicles as of now. If you guys didn't know, Xpeng currently actually ranks last among the Chinese EV companies as far as actual sales in their cars. First is NIO. They have the most sales as far as their cars go, followed by Li Auto in second, and Xpeng actually in third. But what I love to see is the great news that we did see the other day or today, and that's the fact that, we did get a look at Xpeng's December deliveries. And as expected, with the heat and the rising demand of the EV market, Xpeng actually did very, very well on their sales, delivering 5,700 vehicles, and that's up, from their 4,224 vehicles that were sold in November. So almost selling about 1,300 more vehicles than they did last month. And that's also up 326%. compared with December of 2019. So over 1 year, they were able to increase their sales by 326%. That's absolutely fantastic, and that absolutely looks great on paper. It goes to show, that Xpeng is really trying hard to grow as fast as possible. And it also shows, that Xpeng in itself is trying really, really hard to really put itself out there. But Xpeng on top of it as well did also beat their own expectations as far as sales goes. In December, or in the fourth quarter, should I say, they were expected to sell, or Xpeng projected that they were going to sell around 10,000 vehicles, while Xpeng actually ended up selling closer to 13,000 vehicles, which is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing to see that Xpeng is actually beating their own projection. Now, Xpeng in itself is a good buy at $44.50 because a lot of these EV companies, and really seeing all the deliveries we got to see, whether it be Tesla, NIO, Xpeng, Li Auto, guys, these stocks are hot. These Chinese EV companies are also very hot. They're like white hot. They're like, very explosive. And I feel like 2021 is really going to be the year where people start seeing the most growth out of these stocks. Backed by a lot of big time analysts, a lot of people do have great expectations for Xpeng stock. Big time analysts rating it a buy. And, a lot of people even saying that Xpeng is going to be a top Chinese EV company. Am I saying it's going to be the biggest Chinese EV company? No, I'm not saying that. But Xpeng in itself is trying very, very hard to really put itself out there. Xpeng currently having two vehicles right now, which is the P7 sedan, which does resemble the Tesla Model S, and they also have a G3, which is an SUV. I do think Xpeng stock does have a lot of explosive potential, and I do think that Xpeng stock is going to hit all-time highs in the year of 2021. We've seen it time and time again, that the EV market maturity has really started to evolve. We've seen that there's just simply more demand. I mean, the fact that Xpeng's sales are up 326% from last year to this year goes to show that the company is growing at a huge rate. Even statistics have pointed, that Chinese EV sales are going to start growing in the year of 2025 and so on and so forth. So the market is getting more mature, and, a lot of people are having really high expectations, because the thing is, battery power in itself is probably one of the most powerful things right now and definitely has the most upward potential. Gas-powered cars and gas-powered everything is starting to get super out of date, and people are really taking the advantage to see what they can do with battery power. We have seen all the companies that did IPO in 2020. We did see, a lot of EV companies specializing in delivery vans run on battery power, or full-on delivery trucks, and, big semi-trucks all run on battery power. People are really trying to explode into the market and really dive in and see what battery power can actually do. This is how I know that Xpeng stock is going to be doing very, very well in the year of 2021. Which does lead to my overall stock price prediction. Alright, I think Xpeng stock is going to be headed into 2021. I actually do think Xpeng stock does have the potential to hit $100 in the year of 2021. And the reason I say this is because we've seen the constant growth of sales, but even in the midst of a pandemic, a lot of these EV companies have been able to show themselves. They've been able to stay on track, and they've been able to produce positive sales numbers. Now, looking back at the 5-year chart, when this thing IPO'd, this thing actually did have a really all-time high. This thing almost did hit $75 on one point. But followed by kind of a bunch of bad news, with the probe on Alibaba and the US bill that passed about delisting Chinese stocks. Xpeng did kind of have a month where it was down about 40% of its value, slowly trying to recoup its stock value and really trying to get itself out there. I do think Xpeng stock is going to have an explosive year, with Xpeng signing the contract about the radar technology, and Xpeng consistently doing better on sales, backed by a lot of big-time analysts, working on a flying car and really just trying to expand their outreach by selling cars into Norway. Xpeng has had a lot of huge catalysts and milestones that I feel were pretty overlooked, but for me, I do think Xpeng stock is a good buy at $44.39, and I do think Xpeng stock does have the potential to hit $100, followed by the facts of just the growing, rising maturity and the demand of the overall EV market, and the fact that people love these Chinese EV stocks. They're proving themselves. Looking at all of their sales, they were all fantastic. And it just goes to show, that these stocks, sitting at the prices they are super undervalued for what these things can potentially offer in the near-term future. With that being said, guys, that's all I really have to say about the video. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, what you think of Xpeng stock. What do you guys think of Xpeng car deliveries? Were you guys surprised that Xpeng did a great job on their deliveries? If you guys own Xpeng stock, how many shares do you guys own and what's your average? I'm always very curious to know. With that being said, guys, thank you. Have a great day.